Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now redubbed Legends. Let us get in to Edge of Victory 1 and 2 by Greg Keyes and a short story by Greg Keyes. But first, my paper broke, so I have to get a paper. So, to give you a short synopsis of all the books before I get into spoilers. I'm not going to spoil this short story because this is a short story. You can go read it. And I'll say a little bit of things because it's a bit longer than other short stories, but you still gotta go read it. But, yes, this, right here, this is Jakar from one of the best shows of all time called Babylon 5. And I have that up. One, because I'm currently watching Season 3 right now, almost done with it, then heading on to Season 4. But because Book 7, which is the first book in the Edge of Victory series, but Book 7 of the entire New Jedi Order series, by Greg Keyes. Now the reason that this is up, Greg Keyes wrote what I believe is well-renowned among the fans of Babylon 5, and is, I believe, considered canon by the creators of the show, unless I'm mistaken. But that's the Psy-Corps trilogy. Psy-Corps is an organization within Babylon 5 that deals with basically people that can do Jedi stuff a little bit, but to a lesser degree. They can, read into people's minds. Go watch the show, it's good. It's old and dated, but it's good. And it has great dialogue in that show, and great characters, which is stuff that I love. But yeah, I've heard good things about it, and it's probably something I'd check out in the future because of how good this book was. But to give you a non-spoiler review of Edge of Victory 1, which is, what was it called? Did I write it down? Why wouldn't I have wrote it down? I guess I didn't. But Edge of Victory 1, that's all that matters. As long as there's a 1 in there. But Anakin runs off to Yavin 4 because the Yusung Vong are there. Or he suspects that they're there, and he's right. And he meets up with Tahiri, his old friend from the Junior Jedi Knight series, and he needs to go rescue her because stuff happens in the book that requires him to go get her. And that's all I'll say without getting into spoilers. So I will say, I don't know if it's the first chapter afterwards or the prologue, but the freaking kid that I never thought we'd see again, old Yuldor, the freaking kid that wanted to be a Jedi but ended up not having any powers, well, he's in this book for like a second, and then he gets his own short story, which is really cool. It was cool to see him again because I never thought I would. I need to stop thinking I won't see these characters again because Star Wars is better than me and they'll actually do it. So, Edge of Victory 1 is excellent though. I loved it. I have to be honest, I was getting kind of burnt out by Balance Point. I enjoyed Balance Point, but compared to the other ones I had read, I wasn't enjoying it as much. I was getting a bit of fatigue because it was like depression, and then just like this thread is just pounding them, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And then by Balance Point, it felt kind of samey, not gonna lie. And while the Jason whole philosophy is interesting, it's also a double-edged sword because I also found him extremely annoying in that book. I wanted to slap him. I'm like, get your act together, man. Come on. But this one reinvigorated. Like the whole time I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, Yuldor? Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say it because spoilers, but those who read it will know. And then I was just like, oh my gosh. And then we got to learn a bit more about the Yusung Vong, and it was just super interesting and good. And I was like, yes! And it was a good time. And then we get to Edge of Victory 2, titled Rebirth. This one's like a couple months after the fact. I'm not exactly sure when it takes place because at this point, Jason and Jaina are 18, but in the last book they were 17. So I'm not sure how much time has passed, because they just turned 17. Like, it was either Agents of Chaos or Balance Point. They were 17, so now they're 18 now in this one. So I was like, what? But with this one, we have a couple things going on. Luke is with Mara, and she's dealing with stuff because she's pregnant. The poison is doing stuff to her because of the pregnancy, and it's about time for her to give birth. Jaina is with Kip Durin and is trying to, and stuff happens with Wedge Antilles and stuff because of stuff that Kip Durin figures out. I'm trying to be non-spoilery, so I don't want to tell you too much. Anakin, Tahiri, and Cornhorn go on an adventure. Good things happen with Anakin and Tahiri. I'll stop there. And then Leia, Han, and Jason are together, and they're trying to build like safe routes for the Jedi and trying to find a new like base of operations for the Jedi so they can plan a coordinated attack. And so that's kind of like what's going on in the book, without getting into spoilers. This one wasn't as enjoyable as the previous one, but it was still really, really good. Greg Keyes has never wrote for Star Wars before. This is his first time, but as a first timer coming in, he was really good, and it makes me actually, since I love Babylon 5 too much, it makes me actually want to go and read that Psychor trilogy, and see what he contributed to the Babylon 5 universe. Because it's crazy, there are different franchises that have like little bits of expanded universe, but nothing like to the immensity that is the Star Wars expanded universe. So I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I should say, but I think I'm just going to leave that there for non-spoilers for books 7 and 8, Edge of Victory, in the New Jedi Order series. And then I will quickly mention the short story Emissary of the Void by Greg Keyes, also by the author I just talked about. This one does follow Yuldor, and he's at a bar with his friends or whatever, or not his friends, his comrades I should say. They're his business partners. He's a pilot. Right now he's trying to rescue any Jedi due to what's going on. Which I don't know if I mentioned at the end of Balance Point, where now they're just after all the Jedi. Everyone, like the Peace Brigade and whatnot. That's another thing with the Peace Brigade, because of the fact that the Yu Song Vong promises not to harm anyone else. They just hand over the Jedi, especially Jason, because Jason whoops some butt in Balance Point. But so that's kind of the bigger reason for why Yavin 4 gets attacked. But anyway, in Emissary of the Void, he meets a Jedi who may have different intentions than what she may appear to be, even though she's not very forthcoming with what she wants to do. And we go to Wayland from the Thrawn trilogy. And I will leave it there for non-spoilers. It's a short story, so go read it. It's short. It won't take you too long. Go have a good time. Overall, though, Edge of Victory and that short story, they were, by Greg Keyes, were super, super good. They were well written. That was one thing that was like Kathy Tyer's book was good, but I'm a sucker for good dialogue, and I felt like there was some really good dialogue in here. So, I really enjoyed it. But up next, we have Star by Star, which we get a bit of hope at the end of this book. But that hope will be kind of snuffed out, because we went from bummer in the beginning of the series, hope here, depression again next time. But I'm going to get into spoilers now. If you don't want spoilers, you haven't read these books for yourself, it's time for you to get out. For those EU fans who have read these books already, come and join me as I get into spoilers. So, I already mentioned Yuldor from Young Jedi Knights, Junior Jedi Knights showed up, and I was like, what? And it took me a second. I was like, where have I heard that name before? I was like, Junior Jedi Knights, oh my freaking goodness. And then, like, they weren't my favorite by any means. They were okay books, but the fact that he's here makes me so happy that I took the time to sit down and read it. So I was really happy about that. Dorskady 2, dead. First couple pages of the book. We had Dorskady 1 die earlier, like a lot earlier. Now we have Dorskady 2, dead, like that, gone. First couple pages. People drop like flies in these books. Oh yeah, everyone's an idiot for trusting the Yusung Vong. The Peace Brigade, everyone, they're trying to capture the Jedi, give them to the Yusung Vong, because they're promising them, hey, we'll stop expanding, we'll stop hurting people if you hand us the Jedi. What? They're not going to stop. Are you stupid? Look at how much they've taken already. Do you really think that they're going to stop after the Jedi? The only reason they want the Jedi now is because they realize what a threat they are. Once they get rid of that threat, it's smooth sailing. So, I don't know. People are kind of retarded. Sorry, I'm going to upset some people, but I'm Team Kip. I love Luke, and I think Kip could be a little less rude to Luke and be more respectful because of who Luke is. But he's right. With an enemy like this, you have to take the fight to them. Now, I do have some gripes with Kip, and we'll get to that in the spoiler section for the second book. But, my goodness, look at what... I mean, yes, the Jedi were flawed in the prequels, but they were going left and right, attacking... I mean, to be fair, they were robots. They weren't people, but still. And then, if you go even further back to the Old Republic, there were big fights going on. So the idea... But, well, I guess it's because it was against the dark side, but... I don't know, man. Like, these guys, a lot of them... I mean, this one shows, like, hints that maybe there are some of them. But the majority of them, they don't want to talk. They don't want to come to a middle ground. We already tried that with the guy from the Hand of Thrawn, what's his name, Exgol, the freaking guy that ended up being a skeleton by the end of Dark Tide. They don't want to talk. They want you dead or a slave. They don't want to be friends. They want to conquer, they want to rule, and they want to teach you the truth of life, which is pain. So, I don't know. I'm Team Kip. He makes a lot of sense to me. It seems like he's got the right noggin there. And if I upset you, I don't care. Did you know I like Kit Durin more than I like Corn Horn? Oh, get triggered. I'm just kidding. I love all of you, but I do, and I love Corn. He's one of my favorites too. But I like Kit more, so yeah. And the writing, I wrote down the note. The writing, it was just a couple of chapters, and I was like, oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. It just drew me in, man. It just drew me in. I already mentioned how glad I am that I read Junior Jedi Knights. Tahiri's 14. Gosh, she's so awesome. Just like when she first pops up and she's talking with Anakin, they're having little conversations back and forth. She's talking really fast because that's what she does. And being mad at him for not calling or whatever to Anakin. And she would just be some random girl had I not read Junior Jedi Knights. But because I do, I know this girl. She's my friend in a way because I saw through the eyes of Anakin. I was reading that series. So to see her come back just made me really happy to see her again. Ikarit, yes, the Jedi bunny thing from Junior Jedi Knights makes an appearance. And they have a discussion. which I really enjoyed. Anakin and him, they talk, and I loved everything that they both had to say. Well, I'm just gonna make this if I wait too long there, but I didn't see it coming. I should have realized, since he's having such good dialogue and saying a bunch of cool things beforehand, what was gonna happen. But I wasn't prepared. Anyway, yeah, that's my next note. Just want to make sure. He dies. Icarus. Being awesome, by the way. But, he dies too. So we lost Dorsketty too, and Icarus already. I know they were never big characters, but still. That sucked. That one actually got me a bit. I was like, and it was so quick, and sudden, and I wasn't expecting it. Chewbacca. That I can't remember the guy's name, but that one guy, you know, the guy that came back with a skeleton. I might even be missing someone else. Icarus. Dorsketty too. That's 5 people right now. There might be more that I forgot about, but already that's a bunch. Oh, so I just want to mention, I don't usually get theological on this channel or try to push my religion on anyone on here, but faith is blind. That's the thing that comes up in this short story too, and in here, and it kind of just shows up around, like it's mentioned a bunch of times. I'm sure Greg Keys is an atheist, and I just want to say, I know there are different definitions of faith, but if you are not religious and you ever go to a religious person that's a Christian specifically and say your faith is blind, that's what faith is, it's believing something blindly. No, because if you look at the original Greek and Hebrew manuscripts of the Bible, the word faith is replaced by the word pistis, which means trust. So a more accurate term would be put your trust in. You put your trust in something, not blindly though. In fact, the Bible heavily encourages that you have evidence for what you believe. I'm going to end a tangent. I know that's not why people are here. But, if you have a wife or a husband or whatever, you trust them, right? You trust they won't cheat on you. They won't do wrong by you. Because you have no way to know for sure that they won't. You can never be 100% certain that they won't. But you can see based on their prior actions and their prior behavior that you can trust in them to not do that. And so it's a similar type of thing with Christians specifically in their belief in God. That's my little tangent. I'm going back to Star Wars. I apologize. But it happens so often enough by different characters saying faith is blind, faith is blind, faith is blind, that I thought I should mention it as a Christian. But anyway, we're going to go back to Star Wars now. Quarrel shows up. I might be saying his name wrong, but that old guy from Young Jedi Knights, who is also a pilot that was in a comic book from the freaking 80s or whatever, that got shot down and put down in Yavin during the Battle of Yavin. He just stayed there all that time. He shows back up, and I was like, Quarrel. That was cool. We have a possibly good Vong. Hopefully I got that all fixed up. If I didn't, I apologize. But we're back. I had to edit it real quick and cut. Hopefully it's fairly seamless for you. I don't know. We'll see. But, right. So, good Vong, possibly, with Rapung. We learn more about him in here, and how he feels disgraced, but that it wasn't true, and that it was a falsehood, by another woman in this book that we learn about. So, he ends up helping out Anakin. It was really interesting having that dynamic. for most of the book. Oh yeah, I just got really pissed. I just said, "What are the freaking ladies, Vong ladies, doing to Tahiri?" And I kept saying Vong because I knew that it's disrespectful to say Vong now because of this book, and you're supposed to say Yusong Vong because it's an insult, and I wanted to insult them because they were messing up Tahiri. I do like that in this book because I was like, all right, the Vong are getting kind of samey at this point. We're not learning anything new about them, but here we get to dive in a little bit more and learn more. So that was cool. Tahiri kills the freaking woman that was manipulating her mind and stuff. That was a yes, sliced off her head. That was, I know that's a dark side move, but yes, she deserved it. I love you, just like KOTOR. So Tahiri was all over the place because of what these ladies were doing to Yusong Vong ladies were doing to her. But Anakin tells her, "I love you," and that like it sets her straight. And I love that because just like in KOTOR, the only way to save Bastila was to tell her, "I love you." Now, I know some people probably find that a bit annoying, like the power of love, but I don't know. I guess I'm a sap because I enjoyed it. But now we move on to Book 8, Edge of Victory 2, Rebirth. So Borsk Fela has a warrant to arrest Luke. So Luke has to leave Coruscant. And I don't know how long it's been. It has to be a year at least, though, since Vector Prime. They want Han suggest, was it Han? It was one of them. Suggest making the new base be around the Maw, which is a cluster of black holes, which will be an important part to Star Wars later on down the road, I believe, when we get to Fate of the Jedi. But we aren't there yet. But there is something out in the Maw. That's all I'll say for now. The Vong are possibly creating a Death Star. At least that's what Kip Durran tells us. And then we learn, of course, that was not true. Like a version of, like, a super weapon of the Vongs, but we learned that they weren't doing that. Korn plus Anakin's banter, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed seeing these two characters talk to one another, because I don't think they really talked that much before. So having them like discuss these things was really interesting. And the quips and humor back and forth, I really enjoyed it. Sorry, but I'm again Team Kip. I do have some issues with Kip, though, which we learn later. In fact, I'm just going to talk about it now, even though I have a note about it later. Kip lies to Jaina and the whole like Rogue Squadron about what's going on with that Death Star Vong thing, but it's not a Death Star at all. It's just a big ship, a bigger ship than we've really seen before, and it was going to be used to house like other ships and stuff. And he wanted to destroy because he wanted to hurt the Vong where they live. Now, while I agree that they have to start being more vigilant and moving forward on the Vong, I don't agree with lying to your teammates to get the job done. So that was bad on Kip, and it made me like him a little bit less, but I still love him, man, because he's Kip. How can you hate him? If you do, well, you're stupid. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it seems that at this point in the New Jedi Order saga epic, that Han Solo's finally getting to a state of normalcy. I mean, he'll never be the same. I mean, that was his best friend. That was Chewie. But you see him looking at the co-pilot seat, and in the book you just hear him talk about like before it was sorrowful. We got really sad and depressed whenever you look at that co-pilot seat. But now it's like kind of like you have happy memories. It's kind of bittersweet. But yet it's not awful anymore. It's more of a good reminiscing of it. I'm just paraphrasing, but it seems like he's finally getting over it. Of course, he still worries for his family because now he knows that none of them are impenetrable. They could die at any moment. And so that's now a new fear of his that he deals with often. Which just sucks, because in the next book there will be another loss. And I just feel bad for Han. He just lost his best friend. I don't want him to deal with anything else. But that's not the state of reality. It's not the state of what happens. But we'll get to that in the next book when I read it and finish it and review it for you. Han freaking... my note says, tell him, Han, because freaking Anakin was... Not Anakin. Jason was like... at least that's what he sound like, anyway. And he just gives him a stern talking to that he needs. He's like, you're on my ship, you follow my rules, you got it? And it just... whole scene. Good. I was like, yes, Jason, shut up. Grow up. Be a man. Do what you gotta do. I get it. Life is precious. But come on, we got... Listen, your daddy's been doing this longer than you. This is interesting. During the Cornhorn, Tahiri, and Anakin parts, we learn that some Vong, shamed ones, see Jedi as their salvation, which is interesting. Anakin and Tahiri near the end of the book, they're stuck in like this locker space area, waiting for Corran to do his thing to get them, figure out how to save them, and they end up kissing, and that made me really happy because they were always meant to be. I already mentioned how Jaina and Jason are 18 now, so I'm not exactly sure what the time is on this, but yeah, Anakin and Tahiri. Too bad the next book exists. And then my last note is we have a ray of hope before the next demise, the next sadness, the next depression, the next downer. Ben Skywalker is born, and Mara lives. And it's despite the fact that the Yusung Vong are still running strong, there's a victory there for our allies. New life is born. And of course he's named Ben. Obi-Wan. So, and he has a future too in the EU, which I don't know anything about, but I know he's a part of it. So, I look forward to reading about his journey and his life. Which is another thing. We still have so much of this EU to go through. But it's so crazy because these people are fake, right? But I saw Jason and Jaina be born in the Thrawn trilogy. I saw Anakin be born in the Dark Empire comics. I saw them be a team for the first time in the Corellian trilogy. I saw Jaina and Jason grow up a bit more and have their adventures during the Young Jedi Knights series. Same with Junior Jedi Knights for Anakin. And now here we are. There's still so much character development. Well, more for some than others. And then things that happen in the future. What an epic tale. What an epic story with all the things that are going to happen down the road for our heroes. It's just crazy. But, and then I already gave you the non-spoiler for Emissary of the Void, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but that is my notes for books 7 and 8 and the short story of Edge of Victory by Greg Keyes. Now, there is a third Edge of Victory, but we won't get to that till much, much later. Hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Sharing episode a ton. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like what you've seen here, let me know. If you have an opinion on this book, let me know in the comment section below. We EU fans, it's watching Matt Wilkins, seeing RKL post, just getting whatever freaking thing I can just grab at the EU. I love it. I love it so much, and I'm so glad I'm able to explore this for the first time and share my experience with you guys. It's been a fun ride, and there's still so much to get through, not to mention going all the way back with the prequels. Of course, there'll be some stinkers, but I'm going to review them too because it's EU. And it's still going to be inevitably something I got to do, because even if I hate it, I got to get through it because I got to review it for you. Anyway, see you next time, guys. May the Force be with you.